Go ahead and submit the divorce papers. I don't need the kids.
He abruptly uttered these words and left the house, leaving behind our 3-year-old twins and our newborn daughter. I had a vague suspicion that my husband was cheating on me even before this. But with the demands of parenting and work, I had resigned myself to the situation. I can't stand it anymore. At that moment, my twin daughters clung to me. Their little faces looked up at me with concern, and they said,
"Mommy, I love you."
Despite the overwhelming anger I felt toward my husband, something inside me snapped. Well, fine then. Let's submit them, I declared, signing the divorce papers without hesitation. A wry smile played on my lips. The one who'll be in trouble is him, not me. Little did he know how much I had supported him all these years. And so, unbeknownst to him, he began his descent down the stairs to hell.
I'll be late coming home today too.
How many times have I heard these words? I am Sally, 34 years old. We got married 4 years ago, and because my husband is 2 years younger, I ended up spoiling him initially. The following year, we had twin daughters, and 3 years later, our third daughter was born. It was around the time of our third daughter's birth that my husband started coming home extremely late. He said,
I'd like the third kid to be a boy. I dream of playing catch with him.
Interestingly, during pregnancy, he was excited, but his attitude changed drastically when he found out it was a girl. And at the hospital, the husband frowned when he saw the face of the newborn daughter.
She doesn't look like me. She's not cute.
The moment I heard those words, intense anger welled up within me. How can you say that about your own kid? Why would you even utter such a thing? Perhaps at that moment, I had already started contemplating divorce in the corner of my mind. Even after I was discharged and returned home, his sullen mood persisted. As my maternity leave was ending, my husband hardly helped with childcare. Show some interest in the kids. His response was,
If you're short-handed, just hire a babysitter. You have savings.
I had a job at a top-tier company and was earning much more money than other women around my age. Meanwhile, my husband frequently changed jobs and struggled to keep one. Perhaps he envied having a wife who was successful at work. At the time, he was doing temporary work, so I worried about how long it would last. Since I couldn't expect financial support, I hoped he would at least fulfill his role as a father at home. But when I asked him to spend time with the kids, he grumbled.
It's a hassle.
When he reluctantly did help, it was half-hearted, and our daughters seemed bored. My husband sensed that he wasn't well liked, which bothered him. This negative cycle continued until one day he stopped helping with childcare altogether.
I'm tired from work. Let me rest on weekends.
He'd either stay holed up in his room or go out with someone else. Today, I had to work even though it is a weekend, and I am in trouble if you take care of our kids.
I also have a plan to do. Bye.
He refused to watch the kids. I couldn't leave the children alone, so I often had to ask for a babysitter on short notice. This situation will ruin our marriage and affect the kids. So, I decided to consult my parents-in-laws. However, their response was disappointing.
A wife must endure. That's the key.
More importantly, please take care of that thing I was talking about the other day.
My parents live far away, so I don't get to see them often. I didn't feel comfortable making phone calls and didn't know who to turn to.
Hey, make me some food.
When I returned home one evening, My husband in his pajamas and a messy room were waiting. The only salvation was that the kids, who had been playing with toys looking bored, brightened up with big smiles as soon as they saw my face.
Where were you until this late?
I had some business at your parents' house.
Hurry up and make dinner. I'm starving.
If you've been home all this time, couldn't you have done the laundry or cleaned the bathroom? However, when my husband heard this, he inexplicably smirked.
I've decided not to do anything for people who lack manners.
What do you mean?
I cleaned the bathroom yesterday, and there was no gratitude.
Didn't I say thank you?
Not that kind of gratitude. I mean an allowance. At least $200.
He extended his right hand, gesturing for money. What is this man talking about? I wondered. That day, tired and frustrated myself, I called him to the bathroom so the kids wouldn't overhear our conversation. I do everything: work, house chores, and childcare. Haven't you ever thanked me?
It's a wife's duty.
Then what's your duty?
I work too.
Despite earning only $1,000 a month and doing nothing around the house, he audaciously made such demands. Our argument continued for about an hour.
Mommy, I'm hungry.
My daughter's interruption snapped me back to reality. My husband left in a bad mood, but I ignored it and hurriedly prepared dinner. Amidst the tense atmosphere, I discovered his secret. My husband is having an affair. I confided in a colleague we'd been friends with since college. She had also divorced due to her husband's infidelity.
You should gather evidence immediately.
She shared various methods for collecting proof. Truth be told, I'd suspected my husband's affair of a while. Just before our youngest kid was born, I noticed an unusual, sweet scent coming from him. Were you wearing perfume? I asked him casually when he returned home. He broke into a sweat and stammered. There were other signs too: late returns, reduced conversations, his attitude toward the kids, and the absence of intimacy. But my conviction came from a specific incident. There was lip balm in your jacket pocket.
It's mine. My lips get chapped.
Are you using Chanel's pink lip balm?
Well, that's, maybe my mom's.
His awkward response sounded like a lie. As he rushed to the bathroom, unbuttoning his shirt, I saw it. What's that? It's unmistakable. In a spot usually hidden by clothing, there was a love bite. I almost confronted him, but I realized I needed evidence first. Take your time to warm up in the bathtub. I smiled and pretended not to see it. The next day, after returning late from work, I found my daughters already asleep. The room was silent except for the dining room light, where my husband stood holding a piece of paper.
I've had enough. Let's get a divorce.
What?
File the divorce papers. I don't want the kids.
Before I could respond, he handed me the papers and left.
Mommy.
The twins woke up from the sound of the door closing, both looking worried. It's okay. Sorry for waking you, I assured them, though things were far from okay. He says he's had enough. That's my line. And he doesn't want the kids? What's that about? Emotions swirled in my mind, and tears flowed naturally, but I didn't notice it.
Mommy, I love you.
My daughters hugged me tightly, sensing something was wrong. At that moment, I regained clarity. This couldn't continue. I couldn't burden my young daughters like this. If I only had my kids, I'd find happiness. I finally realized what I should have done from the start. Well, fine. Let's file the papers. With a determined expression, I said this, and my daughters smiled. That night, we all slept soundly. The next morning, I submitted the divorce papers first and made a call to someone. Yes, please proceed. It's my husband who's going to have trouble. The person on the other end listened to my story and acted. This was something I'd considered for a while. If my husband betrayed me, I'd put an end to everything he'd been doing. Even if it meant his life would fall apart, I had no regrets. 3 days later,
Sally, where were you?
when I returned home from work, my parents-in-law and my husband were waiting. My mother-in-law had an angry expression, my father-in-law looked pale, and my husband seemed clueless about the situation. Did you wait outside the front door the whole time? It's scary, you know.
This is no time for that. What's going on?
She thrust a letter at me. Notice from a lawyer.
It's obvious when you read it.
Her face turned as red as a tomato, and her voice grew louder. I have to pick up the girls, so excuse me. Ignoring them, I entered the house. My infuriated parents-in-law followed me into the living room, insisting on discussing the matter.
Why did you suddenly send this? We don't know the meaning.
You'll understand when you read the letter.
Using a lawyer is cowardly.
Despite their wrongdoing, they were quick to turn the tables. Frustrated and confused, I pondered how to explain. Finally, my clueless husband spoke up.
Is this about being dissatisfied with the divorce and filing a complaint?
My parents-in-law stared at him, dumbfounded. Of course, he didn't know what I had done for them all these years.
We never heard about a divorce. Is that why this happened?
Our son is utterly useless.
What's with the urgency?
You've ruined everything.
Wait a minute. What's going on?
As their conversation went nowhere, my mother-in-law slammed the table.
Why did you divorce Sally?
Well.
My husband, caught off guard, struggled to respond. So, I stepped in. Because he completely neglected his duties as a husband and father.
You keep saying that. Men are like that, right?
Then you'd forgive your father-in-law for cheating?
What?
Clearly, the revelation of her son's infidelity caught her off guard. My husband attempted to speak, but a stern look from me silenced him. Suddenly, my father-in-law started defending his son.
A man's affair is just a game. It's not a problem.
It's pointless to argue. Please leave. Any further communication will go through my lawyer.
Why talk to a lawyer now? You'll agree to the divorce, won't you?
My husband looked bewildered. Not only will I agree, but I've already submitted the divorce papers.
What? Then why?
As my husband and I argued, my mother-in-law burst into tears.
How can you expect me to pay $39,500 all at once?
What's with that huge sum? Whom do you pay?
Finally, the moment arrived. I confidently revealed my secret. 4 years ago, just after we got married, my mother-in-law asked to talk.
I need to discuss something.
Nervous, I agreed to help, thinking I'd do anything for my new mother-in-law. But her request was shocking.
Can you lend me $40,000?
I was completely confused when she suddenly told me. My mother-in-law, without any hesitation, asked me about my annual income, leaving me bewildered. I couldn't withstand the pressure. Stunned, I blurted out my annual income. Maybe over $65,000. Her eyes sparkled. Apparently, my father-in-law had become addicted to horse racing, squandering money left and right, eventually accumulating debt. I was begged that she desperately needed $40,000 to repay it, and I couldn't refuse. I repeatedly emphasized, "You must absolutely pay me back." Then I lent the money. 4 years passed, and she repaid only $2,600. Sometimes, she'd return the money only to borrow it again. Realizing I'd never recover the full amount, I hired a lawyer and demanded the remaining $39,500. My husband's shocked expression almost made me laugh.
I promised to repay it gradually. Why demand it all at once?
We're no longer family, so I don't need to be considerate. Then, my mother-in-law made a sound like a monkey.
Screech.
She erupted in anger, directing it at my husband. "You caused this with your affair. Pay up instead of me."
Why me?
We're retired. Our pension won't cover it.
If you want to live in my house, listen to me.
Of course, she couldn't pay the $39,500 all at once. After all, my husband was unemployed at the time.
I'm going to live at Karen's house, so I won't pay.
Is that the name of the woman you're having an affair with?
I was getting tired of listening to this mother-son argument. I decided to put an end to it. Don't think it ends with $39,500. I'm going to demand $13,000 each from you and your mistress as compensation. Of course, there's also child support.
What?
It's only natural. It's the punishment for neglecting your kids and gallivanting around.
Where's the proof that I cheated?
Have you already forgotten that you loudly declared that you were going to live at your mistress, Karen's house? I sighed and handed him the large amount of evidence photos I had prepared for this moment. I felt like throwing up when I saw them. They were photos my husband posted on social media, showing him kissing and hugging his mistress. Of course, I showed it to my lawyer too, and it was completely damning.
Why do you have something like this?
I found your social media when I searched online. It's awful that you thought it wouldn't be found. My foolish husband had left his settings open for anyone to see and had been posting carefree photos. He must have continued to use social media without knowing its dangers. It was surprising that my technologically inept husband was doing something like this, but thanks to that, I was able to easily gather evidence of his infidelity. My parents-in-law were also dumbfounded by this, and they stared at him with their mouths agape. "All right, please go home now. It's time to go to the daycare center."
At least don't demand compensation from Karen. What will I do if she runs away?
I don't care about that. Since the situation was not improving, I forcibly kicked out the three of them.
Open up. Help me. I didn't know anything about the debt.
For a while, I could hear my husband's screams through the door, but "I'm going to report you to the police." When I yelled that, they left dejectedly. A year has passed since then, and after paying me compensation, the mistress disappeared. As a result, my ex-husband, who had to live at his parents' house, was persistently told to shoulder the $39,500, and he seems to have borrowed money from a suspicious dealer. I was able to get it back right away, But there's also the $13,000 in compensation for the affair and the monthly child support of $330. Now, he seems to be earning his daily wage by doing manual labor from morning till night. The interest on the debt is growing, and he may not be able to repay it even if he spends his whole life. Well, I don't really care about that.
Mommy, hurry up or we'll be late.
Oops, my daughters are calling me, so I'm off to the daycare center. Everyone is growing up so fast. That alone makes me happy. How did you like this story? Please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.
Such a happy family. At a family birthday party for a 3-year-old girl in a diner, they appear just like any close-knit family. Well, except for the pale-faced father looking up at me, my husband. Let's take a photo of the three of you. Come on, smile. I cheerfully snapped away with my DSLR camera, capturing my husband's awkward smile. Little did he know what would unfold next. My name is Olivia Tyler. I'm 33 years old and work as a writer and photographer for the editorial department of a local town magazine. I met my husband, Michael, through a friend, and we've been married for 5 years now. His parents are still alive, and a few years ago, my retired father-in-law started farming in his hometown. My husband seems to have a bit of an aversion to his stern-faced father, who raised him quite strictly. As a result, he rarely visits his parents' home. However, my in-laws have always been kind to me, and I genuinely love both them and my husband's hometown. So, even though we live about an hour away from my in-laws, I often drive there alone to help with the farming. Because I got along well with our relatives as well and they've treated me affectionately. But there was one issue that weighed on us. We were struggling to have children. Although our relatives and in-laws never said anything about it, my age was a concern. I wanted to show my in-laws their grandchild's face as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Michael wasn't very cooperative when it came to having kids. His demanding job kept him busy, and over the past 3 years, he had more overtime and business trips, leaving home frequently. Despite the limited chances, I persisted in trying to get pregnant. It was one of those days. Hey, Michael. It seems we didn't succeed this time either. As I expressed my disappointment, my husband replied nonchalantly.
I see.
Michael, don't you want a baby? I do. Please, will you go with me to a fertility clinic for treatment? Michael kept his eyes on his cell phone without much interest.
Ha! That's unnecessary. Besides, it's probably your fault anyway. Just handle the treatment on your own.
His blunt words hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me in shock. Yet, at that moment, I couldn't find the right words to respond. Over the weekend, Michael claimed he had to work, leaving me alone to visit my in-laws and help with their farming. As I worked in the fields, I noticed neighborhood kids playing happily nearby. Their laughter reminded me of my conversation with Michael, and tears welled up uncontrollably.
Olivia, what's wrong?
My father-in-law asked with his imposing figure, while my caring mother-in-law leaned in to check my face. I confessed honestly, burdened by the inability to conceive.
Olivia, it's not your fault. As long as you and Michael live happily together, that's what matters.
Despite his sturdy build and stern demeanor, my father-in-law's voice held kindness. My mother-in-law also wiped away my tears, reassuring me not to blame myself. I felt truly blessed by my wonderful in-laws. However, over time, I began to feel suffocated in my life with Michael. Even when he was at home, He was always engrossed in his cell phone, rarely initiating conversations with me unless he needed something. To make matters worse, he started delegating all matters related to his parents and extended family entirely to me. One day, I approached Michael, who returned home late, during dinner with a concern. There will be a large-scale family gathering at Uncle's house soon. Won't we go together? But Michael maintained his usual brusque demeanor.
Huh? I can't go that day. I have work.
But it's a family gathering. Since you don't help with the farming, can't you at least show up for such occasions?
You're well liked by both relatives and my parents. You can handle it on your own, can't you?
But they're your parents and relatives, aren't they?
Enough. I've left it to you, haven't I?
Michael glared at me as he roughly placed his fork down.
What's wrong with you? Can't have kids, and now you don't even want to deal with my family? Aren't you ashamed?
But I just wanted us to go together. My voice was barely audible, but Michael, visibly irritated, began preparing to leave the house. Where are you going when you just got back?
Going out to eat. You can handle that tasteless food of yours.
Without looking back, Michael stormed out, leaving me alone, tears streaming down my face. From then on, the pain of being blamed for my infertility became unbearable. I wholeheartedly committed to fertility treatments. Since Michael adamantly refused to visit a fertility clinic, I pleaded with him to provide a sample for testing. Additionally, despite his habit of delegating household chores, he'd still find something to complain about. So, I strived to make our home a comfortable place for him, putting in every effort. One day, a package arrived at our home. I assumed it was something I had ordered online and opened it. To my surprise, inside was an unfamiliar, adorable doll meant for toddlers. It clearly wasn't mine. Had Michael bought this? Why would he need such a thing? That night, I apologized to Michael for opening the package without permission and asked why he had purchased the doll. His eyes briefly shifted, and he replied,
That's a gift for my boss's daughter.
Really? I didn't know. Michael snapped.
Well, it's her birthday soon. But seriously, why did you open it?
I'm sorry. Without waiting for my apology, Michael stormed off, still holding the doll's box, leaving me silently watching him go. A few days later, something significant happened. I had been out on a work assignment, and my return was delayed. Since Michael was supposedly away on a business trip overnight, I decided to grab dinner at a nearby casual restaurant. As I sat alone, perusing the menu, I noticed the waitstaff carrying a birthday cake with candles to a table in the back. The joyful voices of children accompanied the scene. I couldn't help but wonder if I'd ever experienced such celebrations with my own child someday. Smiling at the thought, I turned to look at the family celebrating. There, a small girl of about 3 years old and her parents were celebrating a child's birthday party. To my shock, I did a double take. The man sitting across from the child, beaming with happiness, was unmistakably my husband, Michael. Wait, why was he here? At that moment, everything became clear. His supposed overtime, weekend work, and business trips, all lies. Oblivious to my gaze, Michael handed a gift to the little girl.
Thank you, Daddy.
The girl exclaimed as she unwrapped the package, revealing the very same doll from before. Unable to bear it any longer, I seized the DSLR camera I had brought for work and walked over to their table. What a happy family! I greeted them with a smile. Michael's face froze when he looked up. The mother, seemingly unaware of the tension, smiled and explained.
It's our daughter's birthday today.
I seized the opportunity. I'm a photographer. Would you mind if I capture a photo of your lovely family?
Of course. We'd be thrilled to have a professional take our picture,
she said in a lively tone, leaning in closer to her child. Meanwhile, Michael sat there, his face drained of color. Is something wrong? Smile, I asked, maintaining my smile. He managed an awkward smile for the camera. I snapped multiple shots, freezing that moment forever. After that, I exchanged email addresses with the mother, saying I would send the photos, and waved goodbye with its best wishes. Leaving the restaurant, my heart raced as I headed home. I immediately messaged Michael, but although he read it, there was no reply. Ultimately, he didn't return home that day. Having spent a sleepless night, I reluctantly made my way to the fertility clinic the next day. Despite my efforts to conceive with Michael, I wondered if it was even worth going to the clinic now. But then, I received some unexpected news. As soon as I left the clinic, I began preparing for my countermove. That night, Michael finally returned home. You're home early today. Did everything come crashing down, prompting you to act so nonchalant? He looked startled but quickly regained his composure.
Huh? What are you talking about? I just came to pick up my things for the next business trip.
But you were celebrating a child's birthday at the restaurant yesterday.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Frustrated, I thrust my phone screen toward him. It's not just the photo I took yesterday. There's evidence here. Is this not you either? It was the social media account of the child's mother, whom I had exchanged contact information with yesterday. When I searched her email address last night, I immediately found her account, filled with numerous photos of a seemingly happy family. The caption on yesterday's photo even read, "A gift from Daddy Michael for the doll." Confronted with this, Michael's expression finally revealed defeat.
Fine, I get it. You want me to admit it, right? Yes, it's me.
You're cheating, having a child, and leading a double life, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. I have a cute daughter and a new partner. Unlike you, who can't have kids, I've got a younger, accomplished partner.
At that moment, the door to the adjacent room swung open with a loud creak. Michael's eyes widened like saucers. Standing there were my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and nearly 20 other relatives, all lined up like guardians.
Dad! Mom! And even Uncle! Why?
As Michael stammered, my father-in-law stepped forward purposefully, executing a perfect judo throw that sent my husband crashing to the floor with a resounding thud. My father-in-law, a former police officer and judo master, had taken matters into his own hands.
Ouch! What the hell, Dad?
As Michael tried to get up, my mother-in-law delivered a powerful slap without saying a word. The remaining relatives, including myself, watched with cold, disapproving eyes.
Olivia! Why are they here?
With tear-filled eyes, my husband shouted, and I looked down at him calmly. I sent the birthday party photo to all our relatives, along with an explanation.
This!
He looked shocked but quickly turned defiantly toward my stern-faced in-laws, offering a humble apology.
Dad! Mom! Please calm down. Listen to me.
Fine. Then speak.
Michael desperately tried to maintain his composure, gesturing dramatically and speaking rapidly, all while avoiding eye contact.
I didn't mean any harm. It just ended up like this. Everyone makes mistakes, right?
As my husband stumbled over his words, my father-in-law's voice dropped.
Is that all you have to say?
Dad and Mom, think about it. Who needs a wife who can't even have children? She's oddly well liked by you guys, and I've been continuing this relationship because I hate paying alimony.
Enough with your ridiculous excuses.
Once again, my father-in-law grabbed Michael's collar, attempting a throw. My husband shouted.
Hidden secret, you already have a grandchild. Aren't you happy? Why not get along with my new wife and daughter?
In response, my father-in-law executed another throw, pinning Michael to the ground.
Don't you dare say anything to Olivia. This idiot son of yours. Your pointless words aren't worth listening to.
Michael lay on his back, grimacing and coughing. Then, my father-in-law applied a finishing move, locking him down.
Dad! Stop it! It hurts!
Struggling to break free, Michael wriggled under my father-in-law's weight. I stood there, blocking his escape. Look at this adorable daughter and your new wife. Can you say the same thing now?
What?
Curious, my husband looked at me, and I handed him the paper with the test results I received from the fertility clinic earlier that day. His face drained of color.
Natural conception is extremely difficult. What's this? What does it mean?
Absolutely genuine, Michael. According to the test results, your body is unable to conceive.
That can't be true. I mean,
Is the child really yours? I wonder. It seems like a DNA test is necessary. A heavy silence hung in the room as my in-laws and relatives regarded my husband with a mix of pity and disgust. Then, comparing the test results to my face, my husband suddenly clung to my legs.
I was a fool to trust that woman. Olivia is the only one for me. Please, forgive me.
What are you saying?
I don't care about them anymore. Let's live together, just the two of us.
At that moment, something snapped inside me, and I shouted at the top of my lungs. Enough with your smooth talk. We're getting a divorce. I'll be claiming $20,000 for alimony due to your infidelity.
Don't say that. You're my wife.
Don't play games. You despicable jerk. Never show your face to me again. My father-in-law grabbed my husband by the collar, dragging him toward the front door. My mother-in-law apologized repeatedly to me, while other relatives offered kind words of encouragement. Afterward, Michael and I divorced. Urged by my father-in-law, Michael promptly paid the alimony. Interestingly, the DNA test revealed that he wasn't the biological father of the child, leading to his breakup with the other woman. Furthermore, the woman, aware of Michael's marital status during their affair, was demanded compensation. Her parents, unaware of the situation, were furious. They covered the alimony payment and took the woman and the grandchild back to their rural home under supervision. I'm relieved that the innocent child will be in a stable environment. As for Michael, my father-in-law forced him to quit his job, and he returned to his hometown. Currently, he works laboriously at a construction company run by relatives. My in-laws assured me they'd straighten him out. They apologized repeatedly and even gave me a substantial sum as compensation.
Live for your own happiness.
My mother-in-law encouraged me. Now, I live alone, working diligently, and I won't forget the kindness of my supportive in-laws and relatives.
How did you find this story? If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to our channel. See you in the next video.